So you've worked at a lot of different breweries.
Yes.
You've worked all sides of the brewing process.
Yes.
What's your funniest brewery story? It could be front of house, back of house.
Honestly, summer of 2020,
Mhm.
I'd been unemployed for 4 months. I would have done anything. If it was in beer, even better.
Good.
Scofflaw needed packaging help. I had packaging experience. I'm like, put me in. You got hours? Let's do it. I then went from packaging to cellaring. So I learned how to cellar at Scofflaw,
Okay.
which was a great experience. And I'm back there cleaning a tank. It's like a 90-barrel fermenter. I'm always using a scissor lift to clean those tanks. You know,
Right.
you're harnessed in, so
Mhm.
safety first, PPE, all that stuff. And I'm taking the scissor lift. We always would kind of do a prep lift to make sure you're going to clear everything.
Okay.
Like, you know, slow going. What do we got? So I've done that. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's dry hop this tank. No, it wasn't dry hop. It was CIP. I'm confusing my processes. Anyway, I got to remember that the important part is that the door was open. And this open fermenter door, when I went up, the casing of my harness flipped out. And just as I went past the door, the harness casing hits a weld on the door. And as soon as it was like like something is happening in slow motion.
Oh no.
And I'm not even going that quickly to begin with. So I'm thinking, I'm like, no, it's gotta be. And I just like, and as I start to go back down, just that harness clip knocked the welds off the door of this 90-barrel fermenter that we're supposed to be going into that day, mind you. Shoots to the ground. The head brewer and my boss, the cellar director, are off for the day.
Mm-hmm.
They're hanging out in the tap room, which at the OG Scofflaw is kind of open.
Right.
It's all one big building. There's just that separation. The sound of that door falling from that height to the concrete floor was unmistakable.
God.
And I'm just up on this scissor lift. I mean, I've only been in the cellar for, not that long, but like long enough. Like that middle ground where it's like, I couldn't have just done that. This is not okay. And I'm like, and I come back down. I pick up the door off the ground. There's a divot still it's my legacy. In Scofflaw's cellar, like this deep in the concrete,
From
like
the
2 or 3 inches, from the door hitting the ground. I pick up the door and I walk out to the tap room where all my bosses are sitting having a shifty. And my eyes are big and I'm just holding this dang fermenter door and they just look at me. And Chris Broom, who I love, such a sweet man, very knowledgeable, very humble, great brewer. He goes, I knew by the sounds that at least it didn't fall into the tank. And I'm just like, oh, touche, and also bless you, because if that to you is a bright side of this flub, like complete flub.
Right.
So we couldn't go into the tank that day, obviously. Joe McIntyre brings some welders out. They didn't pass any of that cost on to me, and I will never, ever forget that, and I will never do that again.
That's awesome. Well, it's a once in a lifetime kind of flub, right?
So